Hello and welcome to today's video! I am so excited. You have no idea. I have been waiting to make this video since June 1st. On June 1st, I published ranking what I've read so far in 2024. We're back with part 2, where I will be ranking the rest of what I have read in 2024. There are 68 books on the roster today. In that video, there were 50 plus, I think. And today, we're gonna be ranking 68. I am going to be going over the books. I will try not to spend too long on them if I have talked about them previously, but there are some books that I have not yet talked about that I have been foaming at the mouth to be able to tell you my opinions, my thoughts on them. So this is gonna be a pretty long video, but I'm so excited. This is my absolute favorite thing to do. So I suggest grabbing a cup of coffee. Mine is right here. Maybe grabbing a snack, sit back, relax. Let's rank 68 books. I have my microphone on my water bottle, so I'm just gonna move it over here now that you know. I did decide to go with the same ranking system as I did for the last video, just so that if you want to watch that video after this, you already kind of have a vibe for the ranking system. That way I can kind of judge everything by the same standard. Starting off strong with Bury Me With This. That is pretty self-explanatory. This is a book that I want to be buried with. That is 6 stars. The top tier books in my opinion. Then we have The Reasons I Read, pretty self-explanatory. These are the books that when I am reading, this is the diamond in the rough, the gold that I am searching for when I pick up a new book to read. Next up we have Definitely Worth a Read. It's in the title. I recommend it. It's gonna have some flaws like every book does. Then we have This Was Fine, I Guess. And that is the immediate feeling I have after reading that book, where I set it down and I just think to myself, that was fine. Then we have I Don't Know Who That Man Is, which comes from this quote.
To say it, I hope I don't sound ridiculous. I don't know who this man is. I mean, he could be walking down the street. I wouldn't know a thing. Sorry to this man.
Those are books that I either DNF'd or I don't even remember what happened, which is saying something because I usually remember the plot, at least in a very vague way, of every single book that I've ever read. To say I don't remember it says a lot. Last but certainly not least, we have How Could I Do This to Myself? And those tend to be books that I somehow read the whole thing of, or I suffered through a lot of it and finally decided to DNF. I'm a pretty known DNFer because I think that life is way too short to read books that you don't enjoy. Those are the categories for today. I hope that you are excited. I'm stoked. I cannot wait. I'm so excited that I finally get to make this video. Let's get to ranking some books. It looks like most of these books are in alphabetical order, so not in the order in which I read them. Starting off strong with Almond. Now this book I did enjoy. I don't remember what I rated it on GoodReads. I should have GoodReads pulled up. So I ended up giving Almond a 3.5 star. I put a good and interesting read with great writing, which I do stand by. The ending kind of took a weird turn where it just went from 0 to 1,000 really, really quickly. I think I'll put this at, it didn't meet my expectations, to be honest. So I think I'm gonna go ahead and put it in This Was Fine, I guess. I did enjoy it, but it just didn't meet the expectations that I had in my head. Aphrodite Made Me Do It. This is a collection of poems. It also has like illustrations and photos in it, and I really, really liked this. So I'm gonna put it at Definitely Worth a Read. I love poetry. For the most part, I'll probably think all poetry belongs somewhere above This Was Fine, I guess. Best of Luck. This I listened to in my 24-hour reading vlog video I did with Kayla, and I was super delirious when I read this. I did not like it though. All I know is that at one point a creature came out of this guy's stomach and I was like half asleep listening to the audiobook and I was like, hello? So I'm pretty sure I DNF'd that one. Let me see. I did. The beginning of my GoodReads starts off with, I'm gonna be honest, I fell asleep. So I'm gonna put that at I Don't Know Who This Man Is because I couldn't really tell you what it's about at all either. Ballad for Sophie. This was a graphic novel that I picked up. I have a couple just in Kindle that I want to read someday, so I add them to a TBR list so that any night that I'm kind of bored and looking for something to read, I can just kind of pick it up. And this one was really interesting. It wasn't what I thought it was when I was going into it, and I didn't really enjoy it. The illustrations were really interesting, I will say. So I'm gonna put it at This Was Fine, I guess. Oh baby. Speaking of graphic novels, we have Beneath the Trees. I'm gonna put this at The Reason I Read. This book, you have to check this out. I got to read it as an ARC, which this kind of begins my splurging I did on NetGalley. I got NetGalley for the first time and I just started applying for all of these ARCs. Now that I'm in a big reading slump, that has fallen off, but the ones that I did read are some of my favorite books that I have read this year, which sucks because they don't come out until next year. I'm pretty sure Beneath the Trees has already come out, but I highly recommend it. It is about a world where instead of humans, they are animals. So we have our main character who is a bear, but then there are ducks, there are geese, there are rabbits. It's kind of like Zootopia in that way, but our main character is a cereal smiller, if you know what I'm saying. It's pretty much like she is Dexter. And it was so freaking good. And it's like somebody in the town, like this really small town, figures out what she is doing. Oh, the tea is so hot with that book. Honestly, it's one of my favorite graphic novels I have ever read. It kept me on the edge of my seat. The illustrations were gorgeous. I cannot wait for the others in this series to come out because it was that good. Cruel Winter with You by Ali Hazelwood. I just listened to this a few hours ago, as well as another one that we will be coming to eventually. I'm not gonna put it there. I think I'm gonna put it at definitely worth a read. It was a very fun romance. She just knows how to write a male main character. Okay, we have another graphic novel called Dracula. Not sure if you've heard of that one, but this is like the original text put in a graphic novel. So they didn't like rewrite it or anything like that. They just added graphics to it. And it was really interesting. I think I'll put it at This Was Fine, I guess. I think I'll put it first in the category. Like, it was good. That's about all I can really say about it. Oh, shit. Do you see what's next, guys? In that 24-hour reading vlog I did with Kayla, we decided to read the lowest ranked book on GoodReads, which was Courting the Coronavirus. And we did read it. It was one of the most horrific things I've ever read in my life. Not because the writing was necessarily like horrible and stuff. I will never ever come for a writer or an author. As an indie author, I'm never attacking the writer. Some books are just not meant for certain people, and I was not the target audience for that book at all, and I did not enjoy it. So I'm just gonna leave it there. If you want to watch me and Kayla read that, I like recorded the whole thing. It's in that video. We're gonna move on really quickly. Behind Chocolate Bars. I gotta put it in This Was Fine, I guess. I read it for my reading fall reads for 24 hours. It was just supposed to be a cute little cozy mystery, and it just lacked in a lot of areas for me. Moving on to Dragonflight by Anne McCaffrey. I'm gonna put this in I don't know who that man is because I pretty much skimmed the entire book. The writing wasn't really for me. I wasn't the biggest fan of the main character, and I have heard in the comments that some of you guys are saying to start off with Dragon Song. I think that is the book. I have to look back at those comments. The comments were just saying that that is an easier world to kind of grab onto and the characters and stuff. So I'm open, but for now, Anne McCaffrey is going to be on the back burner for me right now. Drop, cover, and hold on. Oh, okay. In my last tier ranking video, I read a book by Christina Lauren called The Exception to the Rule. I really liked it. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and read all the books in this little short story collection. This one was about a baker, and an earthquake happens, traps this baker and this woman inside of the bakery. It was actually really cute. The spice just kind of like, it just happened. Like, it was very insta love. We got some spicy smut in there. It was a good time. I'm gonna put it at This Was Fine, I guess, because it surprised me. Next up. First Time Caller. This book was an ARC that I got, and it blew my mind. When I'm telling you that B.K. Borison is now going to be a auto-buy author for me, and I'm so excited because I haven't read any of her other books, this was the best rom-com that I have ever read. The best. I'm buying a physical copy of this book because, again, I read it as an ARC. This is definitely, I have to put it in Bury Me With This. I have to. It was that good. This is my Roman Empire. I don't know what to tell you. Add this to your TBR. Stat. If you are looking for a very Valentine's-y rom-com, this will make you giggle and kick your feet and give you all the nice little warm feelings in your heart. It's so good. Speaking of another great book, we have Oh Sinners by Nicole Cuffey. I think that's how you pronounce her last name. I'm so sorry if it is not. I'm putting this at before Bury Me With This. This is the best book. Oh, I can't say that because the 6 deaths. I see her. This is the best book that I have read this year. Potentially ever. This was so good. Oh my God, you guys. I'm pretty sure it's literary fiction, but it follows a man who is investigating a cult. Really, there's like 3 different stories that are happening all at the same time. We are following a documentary that was made about this cult. We are following the past perspective of the cult leader, and we are following the guy who is investigating the cult. Now, what's really cool is the cult leader, you do not know who he is until towards the end from that perspective, because it's told in 3rd person, and we're following a couple different men that are all in, I'm pretty sure it's the Vietnam War. And when I tell you, this book, I'm buying it stat. Like the day that it comes out, I am buying it, I am rereading it, and I am annotating the fuck out of it. It was that good. You don't understand. You don't understand. You don't understand. I could talk forever about it, so I gotta move on. Take a hint, Danny Brown. I have to put this in. I don't know who that man is. I started to read it. For some reason, this book just didn't click with me. I definitely want to try another book by her. So if you have any recommendations, please let me know. But this one just for some reason didn't click with me. Morbidly Yours. This is the reason I read. I'm gonna put that first. This was so good. This takes place in Ireland. It is another rom-com. It is about this woman who moves to Ireland after a great loss in her life. She moves next door to a funeral parlor, and the guy is really hot. I think he's based off of Hosier. It's just a fun story. I really enjoyed both the characters, and I think that can be rare sometimes in rom-coms. Most of us either really like the girl, or most of us really like the guy sometimes, and they both were really well written. So I highly recommend Morbidly Yours. Next up, we have Monsterilio, which I did also read in my Fall Reads 24-hour video. I really liked it. Honestly, the more time that I have had just staring into the abyss thinking about this book, I will say it's the reason I read. This was a very interesting horror. I personally think it leans more literary fiction with a horror element to it than anything. The end perspective, like the last, because it has I think like 4 different perspectives, I'm pretty sure. The last perspective was a little bit more on the gruesome horror side, but still, to me, it is more about Monstrilio himself, just this character and like the life that he lives. What happens to him? I don't know. If you are interested in horror and are not ready to fully leap, maybe check out Monstrilio because it has the elements to it, but it's not totally like scary. Imaginary Strangers. Was this that weird one where the woman like thought her mom was gonna steal her kid or something? I don't know. I did not enjoy that. 5 Tuesdays in Winter by Lily King. I picked up this collection of short stories because I read Euphoria. Oh my gosh, I'm seeing I have 2 Euphorias in here. My bad. We'll cross that bridge when we get to it, I guess. But I read 5 Tuesdays in Winter because I read Euphoria and Writers and Lovers by Lily King, and I really loved those 2 books. Sadly, I did not really like 5 Tuesdays in Winter. I think I ended up giving it like a 3-star because there were some stories I really liked and then some that I just could have done without. Then we have The 6 Deaths of the Saint. Of course I'm going to be including that in this video. I did include it in my last video, but I'm putting it in this one because I did reread it. So you're probably saying, Taylor, how do you feel about it then? How do you think I feel about it? Whoa. Whoa. Oh. Still the best thing I've ever read in my life. Always will be, I fear. Then we have Lightfall, which is a graphic novel that I read not that long ago. I tend to read them in one sitting, so I did that with this one. And it ends on a dang cliffhanger. Oh my god. So I'm pretty tempted to buy the others in the series because sadly this was the only one on Kindle Unlimited, but it was so good. And because of that cliffhanger, I'm like, I can't just not know. I'm gonna put it at definitely worth a read. This was really good. Graveyard Shift. Okay. I read this as an audiobook. I personally feel like it under-delivered. The concept of this book sounded really interesting. These 5 people like meet up in a graveyard for like their smoke break and they hang out. There's a dug up grave and it's empty and like who is gonna go in the grave? Like what is this about? And it just, the mystery, it just didn't hit for me. What actually ended up being the thing, like the mystery revealed was kind of a letdown for me personally, so this was fine, I guess. Merriment and Mayhem. I just read this book this morning as well. I'm genuinely gonna put it over here. It was fine. If you're looking for a smutty insta-love good time, pick this one up. I listened to it when I was at work at 8 a.m. and listening to Spice that early was a very interesting call on my part. I mean, it's a short story romance. Like, what are you expecting, really? It was basically just like a firefighter rescuing this girl who always gets into trouble and them just screwing. So if that's what you're into, this is the book for you. Euphoria. This is the reason I read. This is the first Lily King book that I got to read, and this is about an anthropologist, which I had no prior knowledge to anthropology, that world in general, and it is about this group going to these tribes. I'm pretty sure in the Amazon, maybe? I cannot remember, but it's very interesting. There's a lot that goes on in this book, a lot of depth to the characters, to how some of them treat the native people of the land. A lot going on with Euphoria, and I really enjoyed it. The Female of the Species. This book was insane. Yeah, I just put, this book is my Roman Empire. That's literally all I wrote in my review. The Female of the Species is a contemporary YA novel that examines grape culture through alternating perspectives. And basically it is about this girl named Alex whose sister was assaulted, and I'm pretty sure, was she murdered as well? I'm pretty sure she was. She gets her revenge and kills the man who did this to her. And that's not a spoiler. That's like, you know that. And it's just about Alex, how she went about doing it, her relationship now with other people. It is so good and unique. Yeah, this is the reason I read. I will definitely say this is the reason I read. I've never read something like that before. And honestly, to think that it is a YA is kind of insane. But I know personally, if I was in high school and had read that, it would have changed the way I viewed the world in just some aspect and degree, because it was so, even now, I'm just shocked. It was so good. Natural Selection. I have to put it here. This was an audiobook. It was my first Ellen Hilderbrand, and it was a short story about this woman who basically goes on a boat trip and discovers that the man that she was with is not who he's been saying he was, and that's basically it. Then we have Still Life with Rice. This book is definitely worth a read. I highly recommend it. It is a memoir, kind of. No, I want to do this justice. Oh, okay, I read that in 2023. Why is that in here? Dude, I messed up so hardcore. Okay, forget it. But that book is worth a read. Still Life with Bryce. It is a young American woman discovers the life and legacy of her Korean grandmother. So I highly recommend that book. The Doll's House. This was a creepy, weird short story that I did not like. I have to put it over here because it just was weird. And I was like half paying attention to it. It also, I think, was one I listened to during my fall 24-hour reads. And I just did not like it. We have to go a little fast because I still have so many books to go through and we are like 20 minutes into filming. A Thief Among the Trees is a graphic novel. It is, I think, a prequel to Ember in the Ashes, which I have not read. This made me want to read that series. So I'm gonna go ahead and put this at definitely worth a read. If you have read An Ember in the Ashes, you might like it, maybe. If you've been thinking about maybe reading An Ember in the Ashes, pick it up. It was really good in my opinion. Her Body and Other Parties, I have to put it, I don't know who this man is, because I read, I think, half of this short story collection and then I just couldn't do it anymore. So I ended up giving that to a little library. I did like the first short story in there a lot, but sadly I just did not like the rest. The Housemaid. You know, this was just not a book for me. You can like this book. I never said you couldn't like this book. I personally did not enjoy it. Flowers from the Void. This is, bury me with it. I'm torn, honestly, between saying this is the reason I read. Yeah, I'll put it here. This is a horror short story collection. No, bear me with it. It was so good. Like, some of these short stories, I just like stare off into the distance and like think about them. This one I got as an ARC off of NetGalley, but it is released. So if you want to go pick it up, I personally am going to get a copy myself because it was that good. A lot of these short stories, they had so much depth to them. I just need somebody to talk to this about. Please. picked this book up. Return to Midnight, Emma Dews. Okay, this book was so good. I'm gonna put it at the reason I read. This was I think it's young adult, don't quote me on that, thriller. It is about this tragedy that occurs. Basically, it's like this entire house of college students who are also ballerinas are murdered, like they're slaughtered. And it is about the girl who survived, and she believes that the person they put away didn't actually commit the crime. So she is investigating it and trying to figure out who did. It is so good. It has all of the right twists and turns. It was still shocking, and the reveals were really fun. I recommend it. You should definitely read Return to Midnight by Emma Dews. Just for the summer. Just for the summer. To put the courting the coronavirus before those is actually a crime. I'm sorry. I'll put this here. In my last tier ranking video, I read Yours Truly, and I did not like it. I am so sorry. I did not like Yours Truly, and I picked this one up, giving Abby Jimenez another try. Just like I said with The Housemaid, you can 100% like Abby Jimenez, 100% have this be one of your favorite romances of all time. I personally just did not like the characters. There were some aspects of this book that I did really enjoy, but there were too many things that I did. I'm sorry. Okay, The Count of Monte Cristo. This is my favorite classic for sure that I have read so far. I think it's worth the hype. I really want to reread it someday. I just love The Count so much. Rosie and the Dreamboat. This is horrible. So sorry, Sally Thorne. Again, I am not coming after these writers. I'm not coming after these authors. I'm not coming after you. If you enjoyed these books, I'm just stating my personal opinion and how I feel about it. The main character spends the majority of the book inside of a pod. It's like one of those isolation chambers at a spa, and she gets stuck in it. And so the firefighter has to come get her out. Another firefighter romance. I did not like that one. I did not like it. The last thing he told me, this was an interesting like mystery. I don't really remember what happens. I'm so sorry. I saw when I was looking up this book cover that it's also a TV show, I think, or it could be a movie, I'm not sure, with Jennifer Garner. So I'm very interested in that. Promise Me Sunshine. My favorite. So you know what I was saying about First Time Caller? How that was my favorite rom-com that I have ever read? This is my favorite romance/literary fiction that I have ever read. This is the order of my favorite books of all time, to be honest with you. The Six Deaths, Oh Sinners, Promise Me Sunshine. Those are the books that define me, I think, as a person. I'm genuinely just gonna read you my review because I think it puts into words the best how I feel about this book. 6 stars. This book was phenomenal. I will think about it daily and know I will for the rest of my life. Promise Me Sunshine is a book of healing, laughter, romance, and falling back in love with life. I've read books on grief before, and this is the first time I truly felt seen and understood. As someone who has had a major loss in my life, I've been searching for a book to capture the ebbs and flows loss brings you through. I felt hope, I felt joy. I related to both Lenny and Miles in different ways, being the one to help pull someone out and being the one carried from the darkness. I cannot wait for the day I hold this book in my hands physically so I can reread it over and over. Next up, Rebecca. This is a classic that I really did enjoy. This is going to go right here in the reason I read. I read Rebecca back in high school, but rereading it again, I just had a totally different way of viewing it. I loved the like gothic tones that this book had. It was really just everything I could have hoped for, honestly. I need you to read this. I did not really enjoy this one, and personally, it had so much potential. Like, the concept was so interesting, and then it just didn't really go where I thought it would at all. This one is about a woman who takes over for a advice column. The advice columnist who she's taking over for had a mysterious death, and so she's a little sus about this whole thing. Let's just say she has good reason to be. But again, it just didn't really deliver like I wanted it to. The Silent Wife. I genuinely don't remember that book. The Sleep Tight Motel. This one was actually really, really good. Definitely worth a read. This is a short story I read on Amazon. I'm pretty sure during that 24-hour video with Kayla, it was really good. It had a twist that I just didn't see coming, and I really enjoyed it. The Slowest Burn. I don't remember that one at all. Yeah, I'm gonna put it right there, and I don't know who this man is. I'm pretty sure I had the audiobook from NetGalley, and I just put it on when I played Minecraft, and I think, there was something about it that there was something that gave me the ick. That's a really dumb reason to DNF a book, but I couldn't get past it. Oh, I can't remember, but it was something like that. Something really petty that I just was like, I can't. The Twilight Wife. This right here is the best thriller that I have ever read. I highly recommend it. It had so many elements to it that I loved. I did read it in my Fall Reads for 24 Hours video, and I do talk a lot about it in there, so I won't rant too long on it now. This is a love story. This is a love story going right here. This book had so much going for it. I did sob my eyes out. I did enjoy it. I do talk a lot about it in other videos, so I won't go too long on it, but it had potential, and it would have been better off as a short story or a novella. The Last Witch in Edinburgh. This... I think I have to put it here. This book, I think, tried to do too many things at once. The beginning half of this book was really, really good. I got to listen to this as an audiobook for NetGalley, and it is about this woman who, as it says, is a witch in Edinburgh. It's back then, like when the witch trials were happening and stuff. She ends up, there was just so much to this that it tried to tackle like feminism and just like, I don't know. In my head, I really loved the story of her back then during the witch trials, and like that was so interesting. It just went weird. Could have been really good if it was two different books. I would have preferred it that way, because like I didn't mind what was happening in the latter half, but it just wasn't as strong. Sleep Tight. This I also read as an audiobook for NetGalley, and I liked it. It was good. We'll put it right next to Sleep Tight Motel. How about that? Thief of the Heights. Thief of the Heights. Don't really remember that one. Just a Girl. Okay, this one was told through social media. So like there were like TikToks, TikTok comments, podcasts, I think. It was a little... It just was weird. How could you? Okay, this was an LGBTQIA plus graphic novel that just had a lot going on. Honestly, I thought it was interesting and pretty good, but there was one specific character that I could not stand for the life of me. So I'm gonna put it here, and this was fine, I guess. Oh, we're on the last row. Thank God. Loath to Love You. Out of all of Ali Hazelwood's works that I have read, it was fine. This is 3 novellas all in one book. I think there was one novella that I really, really liked, and then the other 2 I felt kind of mid about, or I just didn't really enjoy. Cursed Bunny. Cursed Bunny I have to put here because I DNF'd it. I also think was a short story collection that I just thought was weird as fuck, so I could not commit to it. Talking about weird as fuck short stories, we have The Yellow Wallpaper. This I think is definitely worth a read. I want to reread it because I think I missed a lot of what was going on. I'm pretty sure I listened to the audiobook of this. There was a lot of details that I don't think I grabbed onto. Soma. This one was weird and was about an alien invasion that I didn't see it going that direction, but it was good. I'll put it over here. This one I actually thought was really, really good. Worst Wingman Ever by Abby Jimenez. You guys are not gonna believe where this is gonna go. You're really not gonna believe it. This was the reason I read. Abby did it. She did it. This one I'm pretty sure I gave 5 stars. Let me double check. This one I ended up giving 4 stars, but I'm gonna put it up there at the reason I read because this was so cute. Loved this. That was an Abby Jimenez book that I really did enjoy. On Honeymooners. I know, people are gonna, I can see you typing, I can see it. Okay, just hold back. Okay, these are my opinions. You can still like the On Honeymooners. You can still like Just for the Summer. You can still like The Housemaid. You can still like Courting the Coronavirus. There's a book for all of us. I did not enjoy this. I did not like really either of the main characters. I wasn't rooting for them. Kayla and I listened to the audiobook of this during that 24-hour reading vlog. I just wasn't for me. Writers and Lovers. This is a bury me with this book. Ooh, is it though? Let's be honest. No. This is The Reason I Read book. I want to do a reread of it. I have already kind of reread it where I just looked back through my annotations. I love it. I give it 5 stars, but I feel like there is a lot more that I could take from it when I do like an actual reread. So for now, it's going to be there, but it really just focuses on this woman who is an aspiring author, and it's about her life. She is also dealing with the grief of losing, I think it's her mother. She lives in New York, so I really like that element to it. She's kind of tossed between between these two guys that she kind of has to decide what she wants to do with her future. And it's also her trying to be an author. I really related to it in a lot of ways. Will prescribe you a cat. This has to go in the I don't know who this man is, because I started reading this one and I just could not get into it. It reminded me a little bit of Before the Coffee Gets Cold, but with that book, it felt like each of the chapters had like a different twist. Like it brought a new element to the main like theme of the book, where this one felt very copy and paste almost. Basically, each chapter focuses on a different person who is prescribed a cat, literally. I did not really enjoy it. I didn't even finish it, so it has to go in I don't know who that man is. Buckle up, baby, because we are about to talk about In 5 Years. This is another book that I did not like. And again, we all have valid opinions. We can all like and not like the things that we like and don't like. I have to keep saying that because I don't ever want you to think I'm attacking these writers and authors, okay? I actually really enjoyed the writing style in 5 Years. I did not like where this book went. I'm gonna put a purple frame around where I'm talking about the spoilers so you could skip ahead until you don't see it anymore. In 5 Years is basically about a woman who has the perfect life. She is engaged to the perfect man. She is about to get her dream job. She falls asleep the night that she gets engaged to this guy, and she wakes up 5 years in the future. She is with a different guy, with a different ring, in a different apartment, and her life is completely different. She believes when she wakes back up that that was a real time jump that she went through, which, spoiler, obviously, you find out that it really was a time jump. The problem that I have with this book is that she ends up meeting the guy and he is her best friend's boyfriend. Yes, there's a cheating trope. Do they actually like full on like cheat? They emotionally cheat. That is for fucking sure. The worst part about it is her best friend gets cancer. Hello? So then her best friend gets cancer and she's like, oh, I'm so like in love with like her boyfriend, but I like can't. And she like still has her fiance, by the way. And he's like, I want to get married. Like, I love you. Like, I want to have kids. Like, we have this great life together. We've been together forever. Like, I love you. Let's get married. And she's like, no, because I just keep thinking about the what if of her cancerous best friend's boyfriend. So then he finally breaks up with her, which I'm like, bro, high five. Get the fuck out of here. The book ends with her being in bed, and she does have a ring on because now that her and her old fiance are broken up, she has another ring on because her best friend gave her that ring. Get this, by this point, her best friend is passed on, sadly, and she is grieving. Her best friend before she died gave her a ring, and that ring was the ring that her dream boy gave to her dead best friend as he proposed to her. So then she gave her the ring that he proposed to her. Bro, I'm pretty sure. Don't quote me on that. I was so irate when I was reading it. I just was throwing the book. I was so upset. And I'm pretty sure they don't even end up together. No, if I'm remembering correctly, they don't end up together. I didn't like that aspect of it. It felt so slimy, and I just was not rooting for their love story at all. I was more reading for the tea. And I'm pretty sure I skimmed half of the book because I was just so distraught that this was her best friend's man. I'm sorry. It being a fiction story where it just didn't need to be that way, it's unforgivable in my head. Okay, I'm done ranting. We contain multitudes. This book, I'm gonna put, this was fine, I guess. This book had a lot of potential to it, but I think there were certain things that were handled poorly. So we have Jonathan and Adam, and Jonathan is openly gay. Adam is a big jock bro. They end up getting an assignment in their English class where they have to write to somebody else in a different class. And so John gets Adam, Adam gets John. They end up falling in love with each other. It's a really beautiful love story. My biggest qualm is that John is a sophomore and Adam is a repeating senior. Do you see the red flags? Do you see them? There's borderline and assault in this. There's a lot of assault in a different way. And they fell in love pretty quickly. Pacing was a little off for me. Stuff towards the end, don't even get me started. And then the way it ended, like the way it leaves you, I actually was so upset about because I don't think it was deserved at all. That's what I'll say. If this book had just been about their love story developing and Adam discovering this new aspect of himself that had always been there and finally letting himself be free and who he really is, I would have felt differently. But that isn't the direction that this book went, and I'm not a fan. Piglet! Oh wait, no, I'm gonna put this here. My bad. In 5 years should be there. Piglet was an interesting literary book that I genuinely don't remember that much of. I just remember not enjoying it. Writing Down the Bones. This is a book on writing that I really enjoy. I will say it is definitely worth a read. If you are looking for a book on writing that will inspire you, this is the one. What does that say? You'll come back to yourself. This is a book of poetry that I don't remember anything about. I'm gonna put that here because I just don't remember anything about it, but usually with poetry books, I enjoy them. So I'm gonna guess I enjoyed it. The Firelight Apprentice. This one was fine. It's basically about this girl who ends up becoming an apprentice and learning about her magic, and there's a lot to do with like her past and the world kind of being on her shoulders. It was okay. I'm pretty sure this was also a NetGalley arc, and I think How Could You was. There's a couple other graphic novel ones that I'm seeing that I think were as well. Grimoire Noir. This is definitely worth a read. I'll put it right here. This one I will be rereading every spooky season. The vibes were immaculate. It has that magical element to it. It's a little dark, a little spooky. It's got mystery. It's so well done, and the art is gorgeous. I recommend Grimoire Noir. 3 books left. The Storied Life of A.J. Figgery. It was fine. Was it though? No, I don't think I liked this. I ended up not liking this. The writing was different, I will say. I'm pretty sure the ending of it did not deliver in the way I wanted it to. Not even the ending, I think the second half of this book. So I'll put it there. I should have DNF'd it and I didn't, and that's my fault. Oh, the Big Door Prize. Oh man. I have to put it in this category because I DNF'd it because of some weird ass shit that started happening with a certain character that I did not want to see, did not want to be a part of. It goes there. I did see that this is on Apple TV, if you can see that tiny little black logo. Not for me. Evil in Me. This was an audiobook that was weird as fuck. This book was so weird. And because it's Brahm, I want to like it because I know a lot of people really like their work. I haven't had the pleasure of reading Slewfoot yet, but I really, really want to. But this was just so weird. God, this book was weird, especially an audiobook because there is a musical aspect to it. I had it sped up because the normal talking speed was so slow, but then in the musical parts, it would be sped up. So I had to slow it down. That's a minor problem. It's about a demonically possessed ring that makes people go insane or something. And so, I don't know, dude. This was weird. I don't even know what to do with this, to be honest. I'm gonna put it here. I should have given it up. I should have. It was better than these. And then these two are mistakes on my part. We did it. We just ranked all of the 66 books that I read the rest of 2024. Thank you so much for being here. I really hope that you enjoyed today's video. If you have any questions or are interested in any of the books that I mentioned, please comment down below. I would love to hear your thoughts. Make sure to subscribe and turn on post notifications to get notified every single time that I post a new video. I will be doing this video in the future, next year. The year's coming. I really, really do enjoy tier ranking. So let me know also if you have any recommendations for things you would like to see me tier rank in the future. Please let me know because this is one of my favorite videos to film. Thank you so much for being here. I hope that you have an incredible rest of your day because you deserve it. I'll see you in the next one. Bye!